Hello and welcome. Well, over the past 20 years or more, the ranks of the female jockeys have certainly increased dramatically. It was once considered a male-dominated career. So too, the ranks of the female trainers. And that's largely thanks to pioneers such as Gay Waterhouse. One such female trainer that's making a mark for herself in the industry is Kristen Buchanan. Kristen also trained as an Olympian, so we could have lost her to the Olympics. However, she found her calling in racehorse training. I sat down with Kristen this week for a chat about her career and where it might take her in the future. Well, welcome, Kristen, and thank you for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you.
Kristen, the stable's firing at the moment. You're getting winners all over the place. That's wonderful.
Look, very fortunate. The horses we're getting at the minute are just, stepping up in grade, and the team do a fantastic job. It's all just about riding out the hard times and sticking to your guns and getting horses to the races in good order.
Now, Kristen, reading through your bio, I've got a question for you, which direction was your career always going to take? Because you're a Bachelor of Science in Human Biology, you're exercise physiology, you trained as an Olympian athlete, and you're a racehorse trainer. Was there a point in the past where you had to decide which direction it was taking?
Well, all of my career paths always pointed towards horses, certainly not racing to begin with. I wanted to ride overseas and head on the Olympic pathway, which I think most 15-year-old girls that ride horses have that dream. So I wasn't unique in that. But my career choices were all involved about how can I earn the most money I possibly can so that I can afford to ride horses.
Yeah.
And I was going to do a master's in chiro or physio with the aim to have my own business so that I could afford to go to Europe and ride.
Right.
That was always the dream.
Yep.
And then whilst I was at university, I started riding track work to pay my way through university because the hours I could do around, although would fall asleep in class from time to time. And then I started to think, well, I'm working with horses. I'm getting to do what I love all the time, and I really started to exit stage left. So it took me quite a while to finish my degree because of my involvement in racing and the horses initially. And at the end of that time, I knew what I wanted to do, and that was have my own business and continue working with horses.
Sure. So you originated from Western Australia?
I actually didn't. Most people think that, but I grew up on the Central Coast.
Is that right?
I grew up on the Central Coast, and then I went to high school at the New England Girls' School in Armidale because they had a horse department.
Uh-huh.
And when I graduated from there, I was going to start out in vet science again because I could work with large animals, horses, and my parents had family in Western Australia, were heading back that way, and I applied to go to Murdoch University. When I got there, again, horses interfered with my studying plans. I just couldn't concentrate enough to get those really top grades that were required in a course like that. So I did the first year, and I took a year off, and I went and did a TAFE course for racing, and I loved it. I got my foot in the door with a small trainer in Western Australia and just started riding and going through the motions. I think I earned about $100 a week while I was studying, and I would have done it for free. I probably would have paid $100 to be there.
Yeah.
And from there I got a job with Neville, which proved to be fantastic.
That's Neville Parnham?
Neville Parnham.
Yep. And
I started riding track work for him there at his pre-training farm. And I was a good rider.
Yep.
Like I was good. I had good hands. I knew nothing about race horses and things, but on the farm I could gradually learn those techniques, and I just absolutely loved it.
So when you were able to secure your trainer's license, what reception did you get from other trainers? Because the one that fascinates me about female trainers is how they are received because this is a male-dominated industry, and it would have been tough for you.
Fortunately, I think I just didn't know enough about the industry to have those preconceived ideas in my head. I just had my eyes on the prize of what I wanted to do, and really didn't interfere with my plans at all. I didn't worry too much about what anyone else thought, and I was just going to do what made me happy. My dad had passed away, and that was a big influence on my mindset because he'd had depression, and it was really like a very, very defining time in my life that made me decide I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do.
Sure.
I'm going to do what I want to do
Mm-hmm.
and be happy. And the horses made me happy. So that's that's probably the real swing in doing the university degree, having a high paying career, doing all the things I should do. And I never gave thought to how the industry would receive me.
Sure. I
was just going to get started.
Oh, great. Now, your first winner as a trainer came in April 2005, Tingling Sensation. So, how far, what was the time frame between when you first got your licence and your first winner came along?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know if I can answer that. It wasn't too long. She won at Bunbury, a maiden at Bunbury, first up. And I think she must have had, do you remember one of the senior trainers, Mal Senior was his name, he said to me, if she doesn't win a race in the first 6 starts, she's no good. Well, I ignored him too, and God love him. But I ignored him. I was going to win a race with this horse. I bought her to win a race, and I was just eyes on the prize. Anyway, she won a maiden, and this is where I really didn't know anything. And then was straight to a class 6 in town over 1800 metres, which she won. And she set a track record there. I think it might have been 1812 metres, which may be why we still have the record. But so of course then I was like, well, this is easy.
And you were telling me before you've still got her.
I've still got her.
Yeah.
So when I moved back east, I put her on the truck and brought her over. Yeah, she's still kicking.
Now, when you moved back here to New South Wales, why did you choose Wyong?
Well, I grew up on the Central Coast and I love this area, but I just thought it made sense location-wise because it's just so central. You really are close to your country training tracks, your provincials, and then you're not that far out of metropolitan either. So there was that scope. It was the right place to start, and yet there was that scope to grow and expand and get to where I wanted to be over time.
Sure. Kristen, moving here to Wyong, you also had the mentor of John Roberts, the late John Roberts.
I was lucky enough that when I got to Wyong, I got plonked into the other end of his barn. And we used to drive him nuts by playing Stevie Nicks all morning and on repeat, or Neil Diamond, I think it was, on repeat.
Yeah.
And he was a bit of a rock star himself. And my first contact with him was some strong objections over the constant music choices. Anyway, we became really, really, really good friends, very close. And he used to spend hours with me, hours and hours. He would make so much time to discuss with me my track work. I was writing a lot of work then, still write some work, but he would pick me to pieces about what I was doing, why I was doing it, what are you doing this for, what are you doing that for? And we'd sit down on our buckets at the end of the morning and just go over both of our horses. And I ended up writing all of his work too. And then he would help me with his magnetic field and his theories and just a depth of experience in the industry that no one had spent that kind of time with me before. And I've worked with some great people and observed lots of things, but he spent all the time in the world with me to help me. And he'd come to the races and he'd feel like the horses winning was his, part of his own achievement as well. And he was a real rock.
Yeah. It was definitely a tragic loss to the industry. And a lot of people don't realise that he was quite an accomplished rider in his day.
Yeah, absolutely. He had some wonderful stories about his riding career, and he was terrific friends with Kevin Langby and the boys here. And his son Brady, he was a very successful apprentice as well.
Who's now a police officer.
That's right.
What a career change that is.
That's right, yeah, exactly. One extreme to the other.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky to welcome me into their family like I was his daughter. And his sister Michelle is, we're still very close. Actually, to combine a bit of history, Michelle is a part owner now in Two Blues second foal.
Is that right?
By Zoo Star, which I managed to purchase at Classic last year. Yep. So we're currently in the process of naming her and, keeping good memories alive.
Kristen, you must be very pleased. You've had some good horses come through your stable, and Two Blue would have to be one of the best ones you've had.
I've been very fortunate. I've had some beautiful horses, and she's definitely up there. She was amazing.
two wins, 42 starts, 8 wins, 13 seconds, and 4/3, and over $500,000 in prize money.
Yes.
They don't come along every day.
No, they're not. And again, she came to me at an early time in my career where it was just part of the flow. And you realise later just, what a rare gem she really was. She was a barrier rogue when she arrived. And, well, that's probably a little bit extreme. She was very difficult in the barriers when she arrived. She was very hot-headed. And her entire career I just spent trying to calm her down. She got there by the time she was 8. But just such a beautiful, strong-willed, like her will to win was incredible. You can see that in her racing style. She'd fight like a, caged tiger to get across that line first, and she'd never pull up. Even in a post-race, the jockey could never pull her up until she'd gone past the last horse, no matter where she finished. And yeah, that spirit in her was just something very unique.
Paul King had a really good affiliation with her too.
Yeah, another West Australian connection.
Yeah.
So Paul made himself known. I didn't know him when I was in Western Australia, but he made himself known to us when he first came east, and started to get along really well with the ownership group in Two Blue, and which were a lovely group of people, and they really appreciated the time that he spent with them and then with her. And he was magic on a front runner. He just let them do their thing, again with less regard for what everyone else thought, and that was just suited her to a T. He let her dictate terms, and that was when she was at her very best.
Casino Mondial, he's an interesting one. He came from another trainer and turned him into a city winner.
Well, look, I think he was always capable of that. He'd done very well for Mike at Tari, and I think he ran second in the heat of the country championships there.
Yep.
So he'd done extremely well for him. But then placing him there was getting problematic because his benchmark was up, and he wasn't really too inclined to travel. It was difficult for him to travel that far.
Yep.
So the owners approached me, and I looked at his form, seen he had a couple of goes coming into town and hadn't been successful, but just took into consideration it was definitely a horse that was worth having a crack at.
Yep.
And and then look, fortunately for us, those midways came along right at the right time.
Yeah.
Right at the right time. He won one for me at the provincials, and his benchmark was right where it needed to be to target those races. And I said to the owners at the time, this is going to be a good midway horse, and then he's won his 2.
Yeah.
Might go back to another one, but you'll have to carry a fair bit of weight. So now it's a matter of placing him, and I think he can take the next step and race in open company. He's very genuine, and he's no spring chicken. But when he did arrive, look, I could put some polish there.
Yeah.
He was a bit rude. He was a bit arrogant.
Yeah.
He wanted to go very fiercely in his track work, and so little things like that where you can just add some finishing touches. But the horse could gallop. He had the ability.
He's by one of my favourite stallions too, Casino Prince. I mean, they always seem to be genuine, those horses, don't they? I mean, don't see too many world beaters or out-and-out Group 1 winners from Casino Prince, but they always try hard on the track, don't they? They seem to.
Absolutely. I actually sent a mare to him this year because I thought for good value for money and return on investment, you really can't go past him.
Now, the other subject I'd like to cover with you, Kristen, is the ETrack technology. I'm not too sure I know a great deal about it. Maybe you can explain a little bit to me.
Well, ETrack is a GPS and heart rate monitoring system designed specifically for the racing industry. What it does is it gives you key information about their heart rates during work, their recovery after work, their sectional times, their stride length.
Yeah.
And all of those factors are so important in determining a horse's ability, your training techniques, how you could improve certain areas of them, be it increase their fitness or and see where their strengths and weaknesses lie, and help training them accordingly. So I've been fortunate enough to have it since I started training. I rely very heavily on that information and feedback, and I really, it's been very, very influential in my training style and how I, try and pinpoint for specific horses what we do with them.
Brilliant.
It's an amazing product. It takes time to understand it and to really know your horses. But I mean, if I'm in Queensland, I can see one of my horse's tracings and look at its stride length and I know which track it's worked on. I know sometimes I don't even know whether they've had earmuffs on or their blinkers on or not. It drives my staff nuts.
Yeah.
But it's very helpful, and it helps me keep on top of things, even if I'm not here, if I'm at sales or something like that.
Yeah. So. It's incredible how technology can change even racehorse training.
Absolutely.
Who would have thought, man, T.J. Smith, if he was alive today, if he could use all of this technology?
And would he have? I don't know. I don't know that he would, because they're so established in what they did.
Yep.
And I didn't start my training career like that, so I sort of winged my way into it, and so it was very influential in me, I suppose scientifically looking at what I was doing, what's working, what isn't working, and building my own techniques from there.
Yep.
So it is a terrific tool.
So what lies ahead for Kristen? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
I like this location. I love being here. I do need to expand. I have some really fantastic opportunities at the moment for some great owners. Bruce McKenzie, Trilogy Racing. We're getting more and more metropolitan quality horses coming to the stable, which was always what I wanted to do, and keep quality rather than quantity.
Yeah.
But you also need to keep a certain number of horses coming through the door so that you have that opportunity. I don't want to get too big. I'd like to have that 30 to 40 horses, but certainly improving their facilities. We have terrific facilities, but I'd like to take that next step and grow a little bit, whether it's with a off-course property close by. We're looking to find something at the moment. It's not easy to do on the current market.
No.
But that's what I would really love to do, have something like that to complement what we have here, which is fantastic. I wouldn't build a track on it either, because we just come in to use these facilities, but so just trying to take that next step.
I've often thought one of the key tricks to training horses is A, to be able to place them properly, and B, to know when to move them on. That's probably, we've seen horses go from one stable to the other where one trainer thinks that they've reached their potential, and another trainer can find another gear to them.
Absolutely.
So that must be a tough choice to make as a trainer, to know when they've reached their potential and when to move them on.
Look, you're 100% right, and I think it's really important for your owners that you're honest about that, and that's where, another area that ETrack is really helpful for. Like, I have a fairly good idea of where horses, where their capacity lies and where they can get to. I won't discard something that has the potential to go to the next level, and I'm patient. However, if I feel that a horse is best, just place it in the country, and it can keep owners' costs down by being in a country stable, being closer to where they're going to be racing, going to Queensland, I'm the first person to tell them to do that, because it's in their interests, and hopefully they'll send another horse to me that I can be successful for with them here. So that's my outlook on it. Sure.
I think it's a great outlook. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today, Kristen. And I can only wish you the very best for the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, Steve. Brad.